Hey guys, it's Kale.
This is Myra.
And I'm David.
And I'm Rob.
And welcome to Creative Muse. We asked David and Rob to come meet us today.
Yeah, they're also known as Silk Thorn. They are photographers based out of the Siouxland area. So we kind of just want to get to know you a little bit. And we already started talking a little bit before this, but kind of let's just start with like, what's your gear? What kind of gear do you guys use for your shots?
Good place to start.
Yeah, so we both use Canon cameras. We have a Mark III and a Mark IV.
Okay.
That's what we use for weddings professionally. For personal travels, we have a small Fujifilm camera. Nice, yeah. So it's just nice to have like something more portable because we like to also document a lot of our travels. We use prime lenses, so like we have 35 millimeter and 55 millimeter lenses.
Nice.
We also have a drone that we occasionally use, not very often, just because of the time involved in like setting it up and everything.
Yeah. Would it be noisy at all if you did use a drone?
Yes. Yeah. And it requires a lot of planning. Like you need to know exactly what you want to get. So I've only used it a couple times for like specific shots that I knew exactly what I wanted.
But then you have to know if you're able to use it in that location you want to use it in.
So then how much planning is involved in like your sessions?
So we like to go into sessions not really setting expectations for like what exactly we're gonna do. For example, for engagements, we like to shoot in a really organic, unposed manner. So we just like to get to know the couple, make them feel comfortable, let them interact with each other, and just kind of guide them, but also let them show their personalities. So we plan, for example, like style-wise, what they want, location, but besides that, we just kind of go in and kind of like an empty canvas and just let them express themselves.
Let them be themselves. We noticed one of your posts was talking about that. It looked like this girl who was just very emotional and with her, her guy, and it's like, it was something maybe that you posted recently. It was like in the last few posts.
So
that was really cool. That was a good post too. I mean,
so like there's something that I've started doing with couples. So I like to give them, I guess, like a minute to themselves and tell them, okay, I'm going to be more like in the background, and have them just talk to each other about kind of like how they change each other's lives. Like them, I just told them, like, 'cause they recently got married when we did that session. So I had them talk to each other just about how they changed each other's lives. And while I was shooting kind of from further away, and I just like doing that because when they talk to each other, it just kind of, you get really real emotions. So like, you just kind of like started crying and like they hugged each other and it was just really emotional.
Wow, so you're like a photographer therapist. That's awesome. And so, Rob, are you at like almost every session with him or?
Not every session, because I do have my whole real estate gig that I'm doing as well. But I mostly help. I do go on engagement meetings with him, like if we need to meet with the client, because I usually do help him for weddings. And so I want to at least introduce myself to them when they first meet. Occasionally I do go on the engagement session, but depending on what I'm doing, I usually don't, but I usually always go to the wedding, though, as an assistant photographer.
I kind of feel like your business just really fits in here because then you're like,
that was my pitch.
You want to buy a house?
That was my pitch to the brokerage about, 9 times out of 10, when somebody just gets married, their next step is to buy a house. So there's my card.
Dream team right there.
Awesome.
Like, that's awesome.
I was going to say, and like right now we're actually working with a couple who I recently just shot their engagement, and right now he's helping them buy a house.
Yep, we're closing next month.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's like
then,
in action, like dang.
And then next year we're both shooting their wedding too. So
very nice, very nice. So you complement each other very well.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
and like he said,
He
like
brings me referrals. I bring him referrals. So
yeah.
That's fantastic.
And how has that like developed from when you first like started developing your business, each of you?
Well, it's gotten busy.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean,
yeah, I mean
How do you
that's what you
keep
want.
up? Like, how do you?
Google.
Yeah.
Google Calendar all the way. Like, we have
That's
shared
awesome.
calendars. We plug stuff in, and we are constantly talking about work and if I can make it to this or if he can make it to this.
Right.
Or it's just a lot of communication. And
Does it work with? Because I guess, are you with a company or are you doing it all yourself?
yep, I'm with a brokerage. Yep.
Okay, very cool. Because I was gonna say, man, if you're taking pictures of houses and stuff too, like I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Like I have a few listings coming up, and he is actually, if he has time, like he'll take the pictures for me
Nice.
of the exterior and interior and
That's very cool.
detail shots and stuff
That's
like
awesome.
that. So
And so, is this something you had already decided you want to do? Is like be a realtor, and then
yeah,
it just kind of worked
I
out?
wanted to be a realtor for a while. It's just getting started is really kind of time consuming and takes time
Yeah.
and study and tests and all that stuff, and then just getting started. So
Right.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Like the getting started of anything is like almost the hardest part. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to keep up with your business or your art, whatever you want to do, but getting started is like super hard, especially if you're not in a good place, like mental health wise. So
Yeah.
how have you guys been able to like overcome some of those like mental blocks?
When I started doing photography more like as a business, before it was a hobby, then I made it into a business. That was last summer.
Oh, nice.
So-
pretty recent.
Yeah, pretty recent. So at that point, I still had another full-time job. So it was a lot of dealing with stress of having two things at once and not having a lot of personal time.
Yeah.
Like at times I would feel guilty, like I'm not giving Rob enough time, or I'm not giving enough time to my parents or my family. So then it's just a lot of prioritizing your time, just kind of.
It's huge.
And then Rob actually helped me. He always told me, you need to set yourself a schedule.
Yeah.
So we're like, exactly what you
Time
need to
blocking.
finish.
He's
Right.
the organized one.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
this is why I need Myra so much. Like, she does a lot of that.
he makes it work, but you still don't time block because your calendar's a lot more open than
Yeah.
mine. Because
Yeah,
I
yours
literally
is
time
like-
block by the hour, and
Yeah.
and
Okay,
I
yeah.
constantly tell him just like, no, put this in there, put this in there, and
Yeah.
but, I mean it's all up there. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
constant thing that you have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
It's it's something that I've realized too, because I'm very unorganized a lot of the time, at least in my own personal life. But I see how it affects other people, and I think that's important to kind of recognize that and be like, okay, what can I do to like make this work or get better at it? I guess.
Yeah. So just a couple months ago, September actually, I left my full-time job
Nice.
and did moved to doing this
Yeah.
full-time.
That is awesome.
It is.
So I did that because I knew like I couldn't keep growing this business without it affecting my like personal life
Yeah.
even more.
And your work life too.
And I
Yeah.
think, like, in a sense, like, your photography, I'm not trying to speak for you, but your photography is like your you time, like the time that you have to like and do the things you enjoy, which is capturing these awesome, beautiful moments for people.
And that you're
So-
passionate about
and you're
too.
passionate about
Really,
it.
yeah.
So yeah, and that's the thing I feel like a lot of people struggle with is like feeling guilty, like, and not giving themselves the time that they need to work on the thing that they love.
Yeah, because there had been times where I just had ideas for stuff I wanted to shoot, like just for personal ideas that I wanted to shoot
Yeah.
that I didn't have the time for.
Yeah.
Because I was on a tight schedule with like having to deliver galleries to clients.
Okay.
I had upcoming sessions, so like I had no time to do like any personal projects that I had ideas for. And now I feel like I have more time to, like, let's say I have a random idea for something I want to shoot, I can make the time for it. So it helps with creativity as well. Because I think it's important to not just, like with any type of work you do, find time to do stuff for just yourself.
Yeah, because otherwise you get so tightly rung.
So what is
Yeah.
it that you like to do?
Point, I'm uncomfortable.
I do a lot of shoots of Rob actually.
Nice.
So like, for
good.
example, last spring, we had been driving through some street with like a big cherry blossom tree.
Yeah.
And every time I drove past it, I told Rob like, I want you to climb on top of that tree, and I want to get just pictures of you in it.
Yeah.
So one day we're just like, let's just go do this.
Yeah.
And like we both climb on top of this tree, and just got like just kind of like really conceptual pictures of.
Very cool.
That's awesome. And you probably had fun. Like.
Yeah.
That was probably a fun thing to do. Yeah.
And it was kind of nice to just actually find the time because cherry blossoms, they're not around very
They're pretty
long.
brief,
And
right?
yeah, they're here just a matter of weeks, and just flipped a U-turn and went in the parking lot and climbed up the tree and just kind of
I love the spontaneity.
Yeah, me
That
too.
is awesome. Yeah.
I'm a very spontaneous person. I like to just
we used to do that a lot. Like when we first met, we would just randomly go out and just take pictures of buildings, of just us or whatever, and then we got so busy with weddings and engagement pictures, and we just kind of and then work, and then we weren't able to do it as much, and then since he left his job, we had more time even just together of taking pictures. So
that's awesome.
It was really great.
Yeah, that's always really good when you can find that balance. So I did really want to quick say something that struck my mind. So Steve Jobs is one of my biggest influences, just overall, definitely creatively. And something you said reminded me of a quote that he has. It was in his Stanford commencement speech, and he talked about, and I actually sampled it in a song because I think it's so influential. He talks about how the only way to do first of all, you want to do great work, and the only way to do great work is to do something that you love.
Yeah.
And so you have to find that thing, and sometimes it's really difficult, and I think a lot of people get in this mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to work this job, whatever, to make a paycheck and to live and to survive, that they lose sight of that it is so important to really love what you're doing, because if you don't, what is your life, what are you doing? And so, it's just something you said really
it's interesting that you say that, because Steve Jobs is also like one of my big inspirations.
Awesome.
Like I have his book by Walter Isaacson.
Yes, have you read it?
Not all the way. It was gifted to me.
It's
but
so good.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then I also like listened to that same commencement speech that you said.
Yeah.
So like when I try to talk myself into making the jump and going full time, I thought a lot about like stuff that both Steve and people like him said about just kind of like life in general.
Yeah.
Because I used to work as a computer programmer, which it was a good paying job. I went to school for computer science.
Yeah.
So I guess the choice was, do I leave the security of this paycheck and do something that I'm like truly passionate about, knowing that I'm not going to have that security to, I have to pretty much rely on work coming in and being able to find those people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's finding security in yourself and finding that you like your potential and going through with it.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, and there's hard times in there. Like no question about it. Like there are times when those paychecks aren't going to be as consistent, and I actually worked at a e-commerce company in Lincoln called Spreetail. So I was there for a year, and exact same thing, because a lot of startups pay very well. They have the money to spend, they have the money coming in the door, and especially for Spreetail because they're e-commerce, and so they make a lot of sales. But at the end of the day, I was still so uncomfortable at work because I felt like I didn't fit. I didn't fit in the box. I didn't fit in this, doing this every day. It just I wasn't happy with it. And, I think I was going to get fired because I wasn't doing the work the way that they wanted me to. And so, I think that it is such a crucial moment where you're like, no, this is the jumping point. Like, we gotta do it. And it might be hard at first, but I believe in myself, and I know that it will be profitable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, you know, going off what he said, because it, you know, week after week, he was telling me, you know, he's like, I just want to do photography full time. I'm not liking my job. And like, you know, he was bringing it up once a month, and then I got to being, you know, once a week, and then day after day, and then,
hour after hour.
Yeah, and to where, you know, I finally told him, and I was like, and you know, we were supporting him and telling him, like, you know, you can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to go for it. And it takes a lot, because, you know, I did the same with my real estate, and
So you've been there, and you've kind of been through it.
And I wasn't even at a place to where, you know, losing that security, I was like, you know, that part of that security was also for me too.
Yeah.
And so it was something to where we just said, you know, we're not gonna know until he just does it.
Yeah.
And so he did it, then that gave you like the motivation to.
Yeah. And actually, ever since he's done it, I've been getting busy too. And so it's just really, it's been working out really good, and
it's been a really good season for you.
Sounds
guys.
like it's complementary. It's super complementary of like your work and the way you guys work with each other too. So
absolutely. Yeah, I think. Something I wanted to talk about, your guys' name, the Silk and Thorn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
Yeah, so I did a rebrand because before I used to just be under my name. I wanted it to be more representative of like both of us together. So Silk and Thorn are two really different contrasting things. So like silk is I guess to us this represents like the soft emotions, like the beauty and delicacy. Yeah, exactly. And Thorn is more of like the bold, dramatic emotions. So it's like our work, we like to kind of bring those two together.
Represent both,
Yeah, represent both. So it's kind of the mix of both. Like you can have beauty, but also you can have something really raw and bold.
That really just echoes what we've been talking about already in just your lives. Like, so that I think that's very fitting that would be your guys' name. Yeah. Well, and it's like there's kind of your empathetic, really carrying the silk, right? And then that more, like you said, bold and in some cases maybe analytical. I don't know if that would fit in there, but just kind of more rigid.
Yeah. Because like style-wise, we like to shoot in a really just natural, organic manner, just showing like the raw like emotions and stuff. So yeah, we just thought it was fitting for what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it works.
And
absolutely.
when we rebranded, we also wanted to make it more for like, because couples is what we really like to work with. We don't want to be photographers who pretty much do everything and anything in between. We want to specialize and kind of like give our best to the couples we work with. So like in weddings, we've done destination engagement and wedding stuff as well.
That's got to be fun.
Yeah.
Getting to travel. And
yeah, and I've seen that like you do elopements, and so what's that been like?
Yeah, so that's something that we just started advertising for.
Nice.
Yeah, so next year we're going to Puerto Vallarta. They're having a destination wedding out there. And then we're going to Vegas for a wedding as well.
Nice. Vegas would be really fun.
Yeah, and we're just trying to, I guess, kind of be able to reach couples who want to maybe not do everything traditionally, but people who want to do things their own way. Like us ourselves, we did something similar where we went to Iceland.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and
I've been wanting to go there too. I love traveling. I really do. Yeah.
Iceland that's an amazing place.
Yeah.
So we went with like just our closest friends, and we said we just want to like we want this to be about us, because a lot of times with like big weddings, kind of like the purpose gets lost.
Yep.
It's more like kind of running a show.
It is.
Instead of doing
and
it
it's
for
everybody
yourself.
else.
Yeah, instead of
people make it about that too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like we found out, like elopements, people who decide to do that, they just want to have kind of a celebration for themselves.
Yeah.
That really is what they want to do and the way they want to do it. So yeah, we're just trying to get more into that.
That's awesome. And you're like really capturing that trueness to it. I think like you're getting real love, and I think in a lot of cases, and not that that's necessarily matters all the time. Like I or maybe it does matter to you. I know as a DJ, since I'm working for a company, but I love those times when I am with a couple and I can tell, man, these people just get along and they're awesome together, and I'm so happy for them. Yeah. That doesn't happen all the time, and I'm sure you guys could probably attest to that. Yeah. One thing I just want to touch on, because I feel a little bad, Rob, what you said about the support, like that is so huge for anybody that is a creative person. Like that's, I think,
or who wants to be creative.
Yeah, for people that want to be creative. Exactly. Like when you don't have that support, it's so hard. Like how do you get out of your comfort zone? How are you comfortable to create and be yourself if you don't have people that? So like I think that's amazing. And like you said, so I don't know if there's more people in your guys' lives that also have done that, but like I just know I've seen that, like the people that come alongside me and say, no, you're doing this wrong, or yes, you're doing this right. I mean, that's huge. And the people that are willing to put their neck on the line a little bit to say, this might be a little scary for a while, but I believe in it and I believe in you. And that's huge. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a second. Yeah. So cool. Another one that I want to talk about is just weddings in general, because we just talked about it a little bit. Like, right?
Yeah, let's talk about weddings.
Yeah, sometimes I meet because I just started DJing this past season, so I'd never done it before, and I'd always kind of known I wanted to do it, but it's changed my perspective about so much, because at a wedding you see so many different things. And I guess I don't know if you guys do pretty large weddings sometimes. I mean, I would guess you do pretty much.
Pretty big weddings.
Yeah.
Like
what's the biggest one you
weddings?
Yeah.
It would have to be, I guess, a traditional like Mexican weddings.
Okay.
There's like no limit to how many people are there.
But the food is always great.
Yeah.
Like, I bet it's amazing. Awesome. Yeah. So with those large weddings, I guess, yeah, like you see everything. You just see all kinds of people, and everybody's there, and like in a lot of cases there's alcohol involved at some point, and so people really open up and they're different than they would be otherwise. It's also maybe a time when people are seeing each other that they have not seen each other in a really long time, so you see a lot of that. And I think it's just really grown my perspective. Like I remember working in retail, kids annoyed the crap out of me. Like that just, I would just get annoyed by them. Like when they come in the store, they mess around with stuff. But like but doing DJing, I kind of got to a point where I was like, no, these kids are just having fun, and like they're so pure, and like when you play their favorite song, they freak out and stuff like that. Like that's such a pure joy that you don't get from a lot of people who are very guarded and stuff like that, because they've gotten older and they have encountered problems, and kids are just uninhibited. They just don't have that. And so it's really opened my eyes to this, like, man, kids are the future, blah blah blah, or whatever. But do you guys see that? Do you kind of see those different interactions?
We're with the bride and groom all day.
Right.
So all day.
That's your focus.
Yeah. So being with them, we get to see a lot of their interaction with their family or people they haven't seen in a long time, and like what we talk about, like getting those true emotions and things like that. It's just kind of like window of opportunity basically. And
right.
So
and we also like when we do weddings, we like doing a lot of candid shots of like focused on people that are meaningful in their lives, like parents, like just seeing the reactions of parents and family members, like let's say during the ceremony or during a first dance,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like usually you're like, oh, they're the, but if you could get the parents wild, oh man.
Yeah.
And there's two of you. So
Yeah,
you can.
so-
like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so like sometimes I tell Rob like, okay, I'm gonna be shooting them. I want you to just go around the room and get candid shots of the family and people just kind of
And you
talking to
make
each
those
other.
decisions like as you're going, right?
As we're
Yeah,
going.
as we're going.
Because usually, like, as like for the bouquet toss, for example, like he'll be, focusing more so on the bride throwing the bouquet, and then I'll be more focusing on the women that she's throwing the bouquet to.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so, like, and we're getting multiple shots, so we got two perspective of, like I said before, of the same exact moment.
Yeah.
And so,
That's super cool.
And then several other moments too.
yeah.
Because I mean, it's really
Mhm.
you're taking multiple shots. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's
That's
there's been times where like we photographed, like, let's say just like a grandma sitting somewhere like kind of playing with the little kids, and then like later on we see those images being used, like saying kind of remembering them because they passed
Yeah.
away or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important to get those shots of family members just kind of enjoying the day as well, because I guess if it were our own, we would want to have the memory of those people there sharing
Yeah.
with us as well. So
That's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's like, I'll get that too, because I kind of help facilitate and organize, even though I'm just doing music for the most part. Because, some photographers need more help than others. Some are very professional, and then some, it's just like, oh yeah, this is our friend that we gave $300 to shoot this, and like she has a camera.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So I'm going to probably have to help her quite a bit because she's never done a wedding before, whatever. And so helping facilitate those moments is such a big job of really anybody that's involved in that wedding crew, I would say. You know, the photographer, the videographer, like they really should be pushing to. And so it is really cool when you make that happen. Like when you're like, we did the anniversary dance and grandma and grandpa were dancing and they were together and somebody got a video of it and somebody got really good pictures of it, and it's like, yeah, that people are gonna, that's their legacy, like, and it is so important.
And like in weddings, some of the best shots are not planned or something that we expected to get. It just happened, and we happened to see it and we captured it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they become some of our favorite pictures from the day.
That's awesome. Would you guys say you're more intuitive or analytical?
Myself, probably analytical. I tend to just analyze things a lot. I think about the future a lot. Like, so before I make any decision, I probably overthink.
You plan.
Yeah, I plan a lot.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I saw you as an intuitive person, but now as you're saying that to me, it's making me question if I'm intuitive or analytical. And I think ultimately it's both.
Yeah, well, because I'm thinking about it like in the sense of my personal life.
Yeah.
And I just like to kind of have a plan in mind when it comes to like my personal life.
Well, and like you said, thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really sparked it off for me, because I think thinking about the future can be analytical. Like if you're planning things out, that's definitely analytical. But it can be intuitive too. Like if you get a feeling about the future, like you get a certain feeling, you're like, man, I'm in a really positive zone. That's definitely much more intuitive. And so it really is both. I've just never really looked at it that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick before we end, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about social media and how it's like affected you, like pros and cons. Obviously, there's both, but like, what is your take on social media and how have you used it to your advantage?
So social media is one of the top ways that I guess we get found by people, besides like word of mouth referrals. But like for us, when our work is visual, like we need to be able to connect with people who identify and feel a connection with our work. So we use Instagram a lot for kind of showing our best work. And that's actually how I booked some of my first clients through people who just like pictures I posted that were shot just for myself.
Yeah.
And then people were interested in like booking with me.
Nice. Yeah.
And then, so like, we've also been featured on some other accounts on Instagram that feature other photographers. And that's how we were found by a couple in Kansas City. So they saw one of our pictures in a different account. They contacted us. Then we shot their engagement in Kansas City.
Oh, nice.
And then they actually also booked us for next year in Mexico.
Dang.
Yeah, so so it's a lot of it's a interesting way to like make connections with people from like across the world.
Yeah. So you mentioned that other page that shared your photo. Did you have a connection with them previous or?
No. So there's just some accounts that
Just
feature.
copy.
Yeah. Well, they like they have hashtags that you can like that they feature like some of their favorite images, and they're like really. They have a specific style. And specific.
So they all group them all together.
Yeah. So like let's say an account that only features like same-sex couples, for example. They have a hashtag, and then like they feature some photographers on there, and then that's how like a lot of people who maybe are looking for photographers, they might look at those sub accounts.
Yeah.
And that's how they discover people who they want to work with.
That's really interesting.
You haven't seen that?
I mean, a little bit. I feel like it's, I don't know if it's as prevalent in music. Maybe a little bit. I will say that getting your work in front of somebody, and like the right people, I mean, it's so crazy how crucial that is, and like how big of a deal. Yeah, like you can make a lot happen if you just send the song to the right person, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, or, you know, photo, whatever it is.
And how about you, Rob? How has it affected you with real estate?
Well, as I'm like just now getting started, like my whole funnel of how I kind of get my clients is basically through his photography type thing, and so.
Because his followers are based off of the photography that you guys both work on, but when it comes to real estate, you don't have necessarily the marketing presence. I would guess it would.
I don't have quite a big like clientele or like sphere of influence right now, but
yet.
So, but I mean, I use it pretty similar to him, I guess. Just
do you post like listings on Instagram?
I post listings on my Facebook and my Instagram. I do like when I tour properties, I'll do the same, just write my own opinion.
Nice.
But it's a little not like I just can't post what I want about a property.
There's a lot of
you have to get through.
Just,
So, but and a lot of it is just where I'm just posting just facts about buying your first home or something.
That's awesome.
Gotcha.
Like that, so.
That's helpful.
It is very helpful. Yeah, all of it's very positive.
And I wanted to just add a couple more things about like social media.
Of course.
He's the social media buff. He's
guru.
the one that's got me like addicted to social media almost. So
I just was I had to re-download Instagram today because I just deleted it because I was like, nah, I'm good for a second. But yeah, so I kind of know what you mean. But I'm also here because I was always on it for so long. I mean, you guys, they can both say. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
Okay, so
Sorry.
It's a double-edged sword. Because you can find a lot of inspiration through like social media, like Instagram specifically.
Yeah.
Like I developed my style based on other photographers that I looked up to. But at the same time, it's bad to like compare yourself to those people that you look up to, because then you get stuck with feeling like your work is not good enough. So then,
is it maybe a little bit like you create a competition in your head that's not really there?
It's kind of like you just wish you were at their level, and you just can't help like comparing yourself to them. Like you see them doing so good, you see their style, you admire it, and then you want to be like them. But it's about not letting yourself, I guess, be influenced too much by it. Like let yourself be inspired, but don't try to copy other artists.
Right. Don't be blind. Like don't just be blinded by their work. Yeah.
And so do you feel the same way about like maybe other photographers? Like you want to be an influence, but you don't want to be like copied and pasted.
I don't think about it a lot in the sense of other photographers. I guess it's hard to stand out. There's a few photographers who you see like one of their images and you know who shot it. Because they have such a distinctive style. And it's hard for anybody to like achieve that. And we for sure are not there at all. But we are just trying to like develop our style more to make it our own. So I don't really think about other photographers trying to like follow a similar style to ours.
But I'm gonna say that like when I'm scrolling through like Instagram, I'm like, oh, I really like this picture, and then I like it, and then I'm like, oh, it's Silk Thorn. Like you know, like I think it is. You do have a distinct style that you don't see, but I think other people might see it, and I think that's why you have like blossomed so much in like such a little time, and so I think I really admire that.
Styles constantly evolve.
Yeah, exactly. It is gonna evolve.
Yeah. So
you don't want to be stagnant anyway. So
and it's a mosaic of inspiration. Is the end of it. Like you're taking little pieces from all of your inspirations. Yeah. So I think kind of what you're talking to too, or what you were talking to earlier, is right when you're magnifying on just one of those, maybe a little too closely, or maybe even just a small subset. It's really good to still be open and just be like, no, these are all my influences, and being honest about it. I guess. At least that's how I feel.
I think like that's what a lot of this is about, is like choosing who we like. That's how it started. I was like, I really like these people. I really like literally like them, and I just like want to know and talk to them. And
I know you like them way more.
And so and like getting to know like we would love like after this like to talk about who influences you, and like maybe we could set something up with those people, and and we just want to like get to know people. And
right, because I mean kind of like I said, when you send something to somebody or whatever, but like you just reach out to people in some cases, or they see your work and they go, because I think of people that I'm influenced by and how like I've made songs that are like their songs, and if they heard it, I kind of wonder if they would think, oh, I might have influenced that, and I could actually reach out to them and go, yeah, you actually did. Like, you actually influenced this. Like, this was totally from you. Because once you can pinpoint those little pieces, those little shards, then you can make those connections, and you'd be surprised, like, when people do reach back, like you guys. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. This has been an amazing conversation.
We want to also thank KWIT for letting us use their space.
Absolutely.
Thank you, too, for coming, taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
And shout out Jorge.
Shout out Jorge.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Absolutely.